Jai Guru. See, we will just have a short. See, what we are trying to get from Gita or any of this Prasthanatraya. See, always our mind and we can say Atma or Self or Supreme. They are, especially in the waking state, together. And if you see, first, let's say the Self or consciousness, it's all the time present. And it is pure. This way I've seen, but still I want to again discuss this. It is pure. It is mukta, that is, it's always free. It is not affected by whatever is happening in the world or in the body. And it is Buddha, that means it is consciousness, sentient. This is the only thing which is of which is conscious, which is of consciousness and sentient. All others are jada. Even though it looks really, except these all are jada, including the thoughts in the mind. When the thoughts are jada, when the mind itself, this also we have seen many times. In the consciousness, when thought comes, it is called mind. It is not a separate this one. So the thoughts are jada and it is revealed by the consciousness. That we call as mind. Then, so this is one part. The so-called mind or the thoughts, they are just opposite. They are not permanent, temporary. They are not pure. That's why they are present there. They are not sentient. They are jada. Exactly opposite. And finally, mukta. They are not free. That means they are always in bandha. That is, they are affected by whatever is happening in the world. Exactly opposite. But they are always in the waking state, at least always together. So the next part, if you see, we call this, what is this Atma or the consciousness or the self? It is the thing which observes. So it can be called observer or seer or witness or just simply a subject. In that everything appears. So there is one seer and seen, or observer and observed, witness and witnessed. It's going on like that. This consciousness or the seer or the experiencer or witness is that. That means Brahma or Atma. And it is all the time it is present. The witnessed things or the objects, they come and go, like in waking state and the deep sleep state. They come and go. Whereas this is all the time present. And it is, you can see, it is observer of not only the objects which are gross, it is also the observer of the mind. That means whatever is happening in the mind, thoughts, emotions, and sukha, dukkha, all these things. All are witnessed by this. So this alone is witness, all others are witnessed. So what we are trying to understand or realize, let's use the word, is this thing which is all the time present, this consciousness, you can call it Atma. So even though it is there all the time and all the time present, we find it difficult to understand it or observe it or experience it. Why? Whenever in the waking state, when things are there, all the things observed, they really rather, it's an hindrance for this. We are not able to see this. There is that often we quote from Tirumandira. Parathai Maraitade Par Mudal Bhudam. So whatever objects we see, Par Mudal means all the 5 Bhutas, Panjabhutanga. So when they are present, they cover up or they completely hide the presence of the Param, means the ultimate or the supreme. Or when the supreme is present, as in deep sleep or when the samadhi, everything is, it's withdrawn by that, as in sleep. So only Param is not the supreme is seen, not the Panchabhutanga or the world. Only one of these is observed or seen. So this seer, the so-called seer, is Ahankara, which understands and tries to realize the ultimate. So that's why all this Prasthanatraya we call, the mainly Gita, Upanishads, and that Brahma Sutra. Through these scriptures, we try to understand and realize what is given. So the Gita is it is the last of the, which that means it came up last. It is saram or essence of the Upanishads. So this has got everything. So once we understand this clearly, things becomes easier. So this sloka 22 is one such sloka. It's in fact, even when we chant Vishnu Sahasranama, this particular sloka comes. Ananya Chintayantomam Ejana Pariyupatate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vaham Yaham. So what it says, those, I'm just seeing literally the meaning. Those who worship me, Krishna says, me means the Supreme. How? In and through everything. In and through everything. They considering me non-different from themselves. Ananya Chintayantoma. Then remaining ever connected. Ever connected with me. For them, I ensure total welfare, that is in terms of yoga and kshema. So what does it say? First it says, those who worship me means the Supreme. Worship means what? Not doing that puja and all. All the time, see, observing and thinking about me. If you remember Upadeshasaram, there is a sloka. Aniya bhavatil avan ahamavum ananiya bhavamai undi para anittinam uttamam undi para. So instead of thinking that is different from me, that's what here also it says. Ananya Chintayantoma. So it is not different from me. I am also that, I'm Brahmasmi. So with that thinking and idea, that itself is an worship. Then by doing this constantly, what is the aim? By constantly thinking like that, your bhava becomes bhava balatinal. It gets strength. What? Bhava balatinal bhavana tida sadbhavatirithale undipara. Remaining all the time in the self-abidance. So that is our aim. And understanding that I am all the time in the abidance of self. So this is what is explained in this particular sloka. So the who worship me, the Supreme, not here, Krishna doesn't mean his form. Krishna in the 4th chapter itself, he says, no, I have been there all the time. So I know you do not know, he tells Arjuna. So
Natarajan.
Yeah.
Some background sound is coming. You are speaking.
I see. Let me close the window because some fabrication going on, that roof for the villas.
Oh.
Yeah. It's very near where this one. Now it should be better. Okay. Now it should be better.
Yeah.
So we have to see this consciousness, presence of that consciousness. We call it Brahman. See, Brahman means it sounds probably for some people it is different. It is pure consciousness, awareness. So in and through everything, we worship means what? We understand that it is only that. And it is not different from me. It is completely, it is me alone. Aham Brahmasmi. It is not different. So it's a fact. When you say, I'm seeing the world includes me, the so-called the body and the mind consciousness. So all the three are included in the world. So I am also included. So except, so everywhere I see, in and through everything I see him. So this is real worship. Even again, I forgot that the words. எண்ணூறு யாவும் இறைவோருவாமென எண்ணி வழிபடல் உந்தீப்பர ஈசன்னல் பூசனை உந்தீப்பர. Whatever you see, whatever is seen, see means what? It's all in the mind. Whatever image you have in the mind, everything is God. Imagine like that, and that is the real puja. Puja means that the worship. So real worship is that thinking everything is that. So it's not necessary to sit and do puja with flowers and that thing. It helps. We will say in the next one, it helps, but it is not necessary. So the 22nd verse emphasizes this particular point, and remaining ever connected, nityabhiyuktanam, all the time connected means what? That feeling that I am that. So everything is in me. See, I am not in the mind. Mind is in me. That sort of thing. So I am the ultimate. That means the supreme. So see, this is a subtle exercise to be done by the mind and intelligence. It's a very subtle process. So this clarity, slowly, when we exercise it, really we get that feeling. So that's why he says, for them, I ensure Yogakshema. Here, Yogakshema means Shema connected with yoga. This connection. So I help. So when we go on practicing, we slowly get into that, and that clarity comes, and whatever we see only that. So here, that seen, everything just merges. So this 22nd verse, it talks about that, and this is the ultimate worship. When we go to the next sloka, this will be rather clear. So there are most of us, I would say, even those devotees like us who worship other deities with Shraddha are also worshipping me, the Supreme, alone, though it is not the right method. So I forgot to read the sloka. Ye panyate vata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaah tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya viti purvakam. So, ye abhi anyate vata bhakta. So, there are the bhaktas, when they worship other deities, of course, they also do with great care and shraddha. That means indirectly they are worshipping me alone, the Supreme. And though it is not, what they are doing is not the proper way. Why is it telling it's not the proper way? The worship is linking, it's a linking process in the mind, what is linked? The worshipper and the worshipped. Any, of course, external effort, if you take, it is definitely helpful, like a murti, a vigraha, an idol, flowers, and milk. All these things we use, incense sticks, etc. Even bell. They all help. It brings the ambience. So it's definitely helpful. But when we are in the ambience, the mind it gets that involvement in this, and it gets, we call that that vibration. It's so great. So the mind starts that focusing happens because of this help and the external help. So it is rather difficult for many of us to think about that inner presence, which we represent in the form of idol. So we need to for some time, but slowly we have to abandon these things, and we must be able to do this worship as given in verse 22. So once it is understood, all the time we are worshipping, whatever we do. So we know that the Atma which is inside is the Supreme. Like that it goes, there is a sloka also. Another? Shiva Manasa Puja, it is there somewhere. Atma is you and the Parvati is the Buddhi, like that it goes. Whatever I talk, it is worship. It's a prayer on you. Wherever I go, it is protection, like that. It becomes so obvious. We don't have to think and then do it. So that this bhava, after practicing, it's so clear. So all the time, we feel that we are we rather merge with that inside presence, and whatever is done is a prayer to Atma, or being near to Atma, doing protection, and whatever we think it is about him, like that, because it is clear that whatever you see is that. So there is no separate thinking, of some form of God is essential. So with this idea, whether you see this window or tree or any such thing, everything is that. When something is seen, it is the image in that. So that alone, it is what do you call that, mind stuff, which is consciousness, is what we see. So everything is that. So this sort of maturity slowly develops, and we don't feel that that we have to do some more puja and to get that and all. So this particular this one, even though devotees worship all the deities with shraddha, they worship me alone, because I alone. So for example, when we pour water at the bottom of a plant or tree, from the root it automatically goes to the trunk, branches, leaves and flowers, and even the fruits and all. So because this is, everything is manifestation of this. So once you are able to understand that that is everything, so it's enough. If it's enough, it is the ultimate worshipping the thing as given in verse 22 all the time. So it becomes so casual and obvious. We don't have to specially think and then do any puja. Whatever we do is that, as we just now saw in the Shiva Manasa Puja. So when we understood that it is omnipresent and it is alone, everything, so these separate deities and these are not required. Another thing, even in the worship, whatever we do for the God and for the idol, it is for us only. If you, for example, if you see a mirror and put a tilaka, then it is on us only. For us, we put here, but we try to see the image and then put. Finally, it comes on us only. So it is like that. It is again, this particular verse is in Yoga Vasishta. It is there. So whatever is done physically also, we are doing for ourselves in the mind. That's what is happening. So because we are that. So other ways are not proper in the sense as what is described in verse 22, that is the best and the ultimate worship. பலத்தினால் பாவனாதீத சத்பாவத்திருத்தலை உந்தி பெற பரபக்தி தத்துவம் உந்தி பெற. The ultimate bhakti is being in the sadbhava. That means clearly understanding that I am that. So all the time, there is no effort to even remain in that particular state. It is after practicing for some time, because of that bhava balam. So all the time, it's clear that we are in that sadbhava. So this is this should be rather our aim. So other things, they do help. How we can see in they have their own purpose. Let us see. The 24th verse. Aham hi sarvayajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha na tu mam api jananti tadvena tasyavanti cha. Aham hi sarvayajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha na tu mam api jananti tadvena tasyavanti cha. So this is also very interesting. The Supreme. See, whenever Krishna says I, he means the Supreme. I am the only enjoyer and Lord of all sacrifices. That is the yajna. But people do not know me essentially like this. That means they are not understood. And hence, they fall away from me. We'll see what is this falling away from me when Krishna says. Right. So as we saw earlier, once this idea is clear, that everything is there is no need to conceive many deities. That is number one, and their powers. As we saw, it's enough if you think all the time of the consciousness. So it is like, as we saw earlier, it is watering at the bottom of a tree or plant. It goes up wherever it is required to go. Then, because the Supreme, the consciousness, it is the only thing, and it's whatever you see, it's a manifestation of that, including the deities and all. So this is the correct, you can say, spiritual understanding or knowledge. So if this knowledge is not grasped properly, that is, people generally follow many practices depending on their desire. That means what? For example, in our place when we were in Chennai, there is after Pallavaram, there is a place called Visalakshi Temple. The people who apply for US visa, somebody has told, so everybody goes there so that they will get US visa. So it's not an exaggeration. All the time, weekend means those boys, they come and pray to Visalakshi. I don't know how they connected Visalakshi. As long as we were there, this was happening. So like that, we have many things, for disease and success and promotion and job, or wedding or getting child. It is there. Even those days it was there. But what is the limit? So this is how the puja or the worship. There are many ways and many gods to do this. And all the way we go to so many places which is far away from here with a lot of difficulties, even old people. So they go there and do whatever is required to gain or to get their desires fulfilled. It has been happening, whether with our or not, it has been happening. And only in such places, the crowd is so much. Sometimes you might have to stand in a queue for probably 24 hours also, I have seen. And there are a few places like that. And there are sometimes travel a lot with a lot of difficulties and go up the hill and all. So these are all happening. It's not, there is no, it's not said here that it's all wrong, but it's not done with proper understanding. Probably after some time, slowly they will understand, and this particular idea, the truth will dawn, and probably they may change their this one. Chanting Bhagavad Gita with understanding that itself is a great worship, and we can feel that. And what is the actually instead of being singular, it is always better to be exclusive and non-dual. It is much easier. You don't have to remember so many, to pray this particular deity. We have to remember a particular prayer or chanting and all these things. Here, it is all the time just to be that. That itself is great worship. When this becomes plurality, going to some particular place, it means that idea it contradicts the truth of the ultimate truth. When we say it is there everywhere, when we go to a particular place and pray, it means that it is there only in that particular place, and the remaining 99.999% of places it is not there. It is this is what we have been rather used to do, because of that's why he says it is not the correct understanding. It's not that we should not go. Earlier, till we in the younger age, unless we do this thing, why we do? It is for, finally we know that it is for Chitta Suddhi, purification of the mind. Going to a place and then chanting Vishnu Sahasranama and all these things, it is for purification of the mind. Otherwise, purification means, again, what? See, all our actions are, many times we have discussed, because of the three gunas. The gunas will not change so easily, because that is the thing which guides our actions. So to make those gunas, like especially lower two ones, that is the Rajoguna and Tamoguna, it has to rise to Sattva-guna, means it's an indirect method of visiting these places and all. So it helps to that extent. That we call as mind purification. That means it is able to remain in Sattvika state for most of the time. So then we are able to do the proper actions and worship, and it helps for realization or to get that jnana. Okay. So, whatever we do, we think that the aim should be realization of God. God means that consciousness. But by going to these places, it helps to purify the mind and make it to understand what is meant by God, what is consciousness, and all these things. For that, mind purification is essential. So earlier, they call it sadhana chaturthaya mandala. So especially viveka and vairagya. To acquire that, this sort of visiting places and pilgrimage and chanting sutras, they are helpful, and listening to the talks and reading Gita and trying to understand, it helps. And so it's solely that viveka and vairagya, it rather increases. That means our interest in worldly things get reduced. In fact, that is very important. That no more we are attracted towards certain things after going nearer and nearer to the self. Because it's once we are in this path, that means we are in the groove, automatically our priority goes up, and none of these things, seeing places, buying things, and acquiring so many things, that interest drops. That we would have seen, some of us would have really seen this. Interest totally drops, and in fact, one can, if can remember what we have been doing before 10 years and what now we are doing, our priorities, definitely one can observe himself. So this is it's a good development. That means getting angry and all those things, even those things drop. The desires come down. We are no more interested in some of those things which we were interested some time back. So this is one of these things. And the one thing I forgot. What is meant by that word is there? They fall from me, or something like that. That word is there. Okay. They fall away from me means what? The external things, acquiring so many things by doing worship in a different way, they get those things, but they, after getting that, they fall means they become more worldly instead of getting nearer to the Supreme. So that's why he uses the word falling from me. They become more and more worldly if they continue doing that worship for fulfilling certain desires. That they get that, but they fall away from me. Again, in the next song, it's very interesting. Another 25. Okay. Yanti deva brata devan pitrun yanti pitrvrataha bhutani yanti bhutechya yanti madhyadinopi mam yanti deva brata devan pitrun yanti pitrvrataha bhutani yanti bhutechya yanti madhyadinopi mam. Those given to worship what the heavenly deities, they attain them. Or whatever they want from them, they get it. Those taking to Pitrus, they reach them. The third variety here, what is called is worshippers of Buddhas, spirit. They also get to their abode. And those worshipping me, that is the Supreme, Krishna says, attain me. So here, it is, in fact, it is very simple to understand. See, mind determines the outcome, what it should be. We have many times heard there is a proverb also for that. Whatever one thinks, he becomes that. He means that mind becomes that. Okay, this is something like a law of human mind, we can say. Whatever we think, whether even in, suppose some people would like to, see Shraddha in earning a lot of money. His thinking will be always like that, and slowly he is able to acquire that. And there's some knowledge in a particular field. He gets or planning to go, let's say, abroad and settle there. He works only on that and all the time. So it happens. So whatever we think, the mind becomes what it happens. So in the case of devotion also, it is the same. But all the other three, deities, Pitrus and Bhutas, the attainment is after the body falls. It happens. So it cannot be experienced, or it cannot be verified. It happens. It is a sort of it's a belief that it will happen. But in worshipping the Supreme, the realization of the self because of that happens in this life, here itself. So that is the thing. It's not after this one. It happens in this life itself. See, this grasping, this understanding, it is going to be the success and glory of spiritual efforts or pursuit. Let us say, take one example. Arjuna, when he was in, he spent about 14 years in the forest. At that time, he could pray Shiva, that is Pasupati, and he could get Pasupatastra, and which is very powerful. He used it in Mahabharata war and all. He got that. But even though he has done that, that austerity, and he could get this, he has not got, he has praised the particular deity and got this. But he didn't get that jnana. That's why finally he has to, get it through Krishna, through Bhagavad Gita. So even though he has experience, and he is not an ordinary person, he is a knowledgeable. He has studied Vedas and other things through Dronacharya, and finally he has done this tapas and got this Patadvarta. With all that, in war he could do well, but before that, he got, totally after seeing his Bhishma and Drona, he actually crumbled. So we know that, that Krishna has to explain to him what is what, and that's how we got this Gita of 700 verses. So that means what? Even though he has done all these austerities and could see Parameshwara, it is not the knowledge. That's what in the earlier verse also it is. They get deities when they go on doing this tapas. They are able to meet and then get that. So, but the real jnana, that is one of these Mahavakyas, whatever it is, all the four, to get that is the ultimate aim. That means the realization of we call God. That is the thing. That means I am that, and everything is I, like that. That total, clarity about what is world, what is God, and what is the individual. So all these things one can get only with this ultimate jnana that we call as realization of the Supreme Lord, which is the pure consciousness, which is everywhere. Towards this only, all these slokas, if you can actually go through, it only explains what is happening, and especially in Gita, because Gita is written after, all these Upanishads and other scriptures. So it is an essence. So it it has all the points given in other scriptures one can find in this. So Gita, that is why it is so widely, studied, and people can understand in a better way, because it's a dialogue between two kings, Krishna and Arjuna. So, and a particular scene for this is created, and it is applicable to everybody, and not only Arjuna in that particular position, but it can be applied to any situation. And so mind understand, and the clarity is obtained, and no confusion. Every doubt is cleared, and only Arjuna could proceed further. So this is the thing we get from Gita, this sort of clarity. So this, especially the 22nd one, it's all the time thinking is, we may say that how is it possible? It is again by understanding only. Whatever we see is that we have discussed this many times, how and how. So whether you are eating or taking bath or going for some entertainment, all the time this alone is that whether the objects are present or not present, as in waking state or in deep sleep state, that its presence can be always felt. The thing which reveals everything is that only. So the observer and the observed things, or the witness and the witnessed, everything that, that witness means it is witness of everything, not only the gross items which we see outside, our emotions, sukha, dukkha, and everything, there is a witness. Without that, all these things that which is observed, that will not be there at all. So these, they are actually, I would say, mutually dependent. The Supreme is known only through the observed things, and or it can include even mind. And without these things, this cannot be experienced. So both are required. As in sleep, if I alone is present, that is the thing. That's why we find it difficult to realize that. Why? When the what we call is ego. That is the thing which understand. For example, you study some engineering or medical or whatever it is. The thing, the ego is the thing which attempts to study and understands, and it keeps in the mind whatever he has studied. So there is and it can use languages, whereas the Supreme, all the time present, I need not have any language. So I don't have to say that I am happy or I am unhappy, because all the time I'm unaffected, all the time. So the mind or the ego has to slowly understand this, and it should come nearer and nearer. What is the slogan? In Gita for second chapter, all these things are there. Yogascha kur karmani sangam tyakva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. What is that? Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. The success and failure, we must be able to treat equally. The samatvam is the basic thing to make the ego enlightened. Because samatvam is the thing, that is success or failure. If it is equanimity is what? The unaffectedness. If there is a difference when it is successful, if one feels happy and otherwise depressed, means it is still in the in the thought stage, not that is I thinking, I thought, that I feeling, which is all the time present, is, that's why it is difficult. See, when the thoughts are totally absent, that means the mind is totally withdrawn, as in sleep, even though I alone exist, it need not understand. So its presence is, even the consciousness is not conscious of itself, because it is not required, because it is totally unaffected, it is like that. Whereas the ego tries to understand and experience this. So it studies all the scripture, they are all help for understanding. Instead of our thinking, they thought, and then they have given all these scriptures. We go through them, and many things are clear. But to be in that, we call that the samadhi. Samadhi has to be practiced many times, and that's why once even though you have practiced, it is very difficult to express what is experience. And everybody says that it's not easy, because it is a thing which has happened without the so-called ego. So ego, to understand, it has to become this. Then after understanding, even though the effect is there on the ego, that means it becomes an enlightened ego. It understands. But it's very difficult to express to others. That's why all these scriptures, people who have seen, they have tried their best to express, and they have given us all these, these verses, whether it's Gita, Yoga Vasistha, any of these things. So, in the form of question and answer, or directly like some of the Upanishads, the truths are revealed, and slowly the ego is understand and becomes becoming that is understanding. So the Brahmavid apnoti param, it becomes the ultimate. That is the thing. So once it becomes, it becomes not clearer. So the ego afterwards, with this understanding, it is there in the world till the body drops. So those people we call jnanis, or the knowers or seers. Otherwise, they are not, physically there is not a big difference, except some may put the that orange cloth and all this thing. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand, especially when you go to places like Uttarkashi and all. Definitely, there are many people we would have met, and they are all like that only. It's physically it is very difficult to understand, because this thing also, behavior also, it is not the same. Many times this also we have seen Ramakrishna and Vivekananda and all. They are all totally different. The way they express, the way they move and all, even though they were very close together. Like that, of course, many examples are there. So it's not easy, but they are all well learned, understood, and jnanis. They have experience. So this is the sort of thing which we are trying to understand and become that. So this we try to instead of our thinking, the scriptures like Gita, especially some of these verses, we have seen many in second chapter, third, everywhere, fourth, fifth, everywhere we can quote at least 2 or 3 verses, which is like a Mahavakya. Even this Mahavakya, they are selected from various scriptures. Brahmasmi, Jnanam, Brahma, all these things, Tatsumasi, and all these things are ultimate. That's why it's called Mahavakya. So one has to work on that. How this, like this verse 22, there is a scripture called again by Shankara. What is it? Sadhana Panchakam. So in 5 verses, it shows what we should do, especially when ultimately after seeing or understanding many scriptures, how to go about. It is explained in Sadhana Panchakam. So there also it says all the time We have to think about that Mahavakyas and be that, as it is given in verse 22. That means that the understanding, when it improves, there is no effort required. Whatever you say is that only. So that sort of question we slowly get into. So this So I'll stop here. If any point has to be discussed, we can discuss.
Thank you, Rajan. Now, these three verses, 23, 24, and 25, this is actually showing what is the various types of bhakti, devotion. Bhagavan is ever ready to give what we want, provided you follow the sloka 22. Ananyas chintayan stoma ye janaha pariyupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogatshemam vahamyaham. So he has given certain conditions that your devotion should be only towards me, no other thinking. Then you should worship me. Then I will give you yoga and kshema. See, normally yoga and kshema is talked in a loose term. Yoga means jnanam. Bhagavan says, if you follow my instructions, I give you jnanam. What is meant by kshemam? Kshemam is jnana nishta. That is, if I have the knowledge but I don't have the nishta, then that knowledge is of no use. So this is what yoga kshemam vahamyaham. It is not the local LIC. LIC, we take a policy. At the maturity of the policy, they give you the maturity amount plus whatever bonuses and all that. But LIC itself is not secure, because in Madras some years back there was a huge fire in LIC building in Mount Road. All the records were spoiled. So that means that LIC needs another LIC to insure. Whereas here Bhagavan says, I am 100% assuring you security. That is yogatshemam bhagami aham. Can we now believe Bhagavan? See, because we always say, Bhagavan says, yes, I will give everything to you, provided you do this. But how can I believe? This is our normal tendency. So Bhagavan says, if you fulfill those conditions, I will assure you. But somebody says, I am doing, instead of sakama bhakti, nishkama bhakti. That means I do devotion not for material aspects, but I want Bhagavan. So for Bhagavan's sake, I do my devotion. But even then, when the Bhagavan says, I am very pleased with your austerity, now ask what you want. And our human tendency, there was a milkman. He had about 4 or 5 cows. So he used to take the milk out and then sell the milk and they make some profit. So one day he was thinking, praying to Bhagavan, I don't want to depend on these cows all the time. Why don't you give me perennial supply of milk? Bhagavan said, because he asked for it, Bhagavan says, granted, I will give you. I will give you a lake which is full of high quality milk and perennial supply. Ever don't have to slog later on. Then he was also very pleased. The milkman was very pleased. And then Bhagavan said, okay, now I have done my duty, let me go back. But immediately when Bhagavan started going back, he called him. What is this, Bhagavan, you are going so quickly? You see, now you have given me perennial supply of milk. and my business is such, I want also a perennial lake of water. So you can imagine, his situation, because he has assured supply, perennial supply of milk. Even then, in Sanskrit they call it Daridra Buddhi. So in Daridra Buddhi, he wants water also, because he mixes with water, even when he has got plenty of good quality milk. This is the human nature. So Bhagavan says, I am willing to give, but you are not ready to accept. So he says, then somebody asked Bhagavan, since you are a compassionate God, why don't you give liberation to all the people? Give liberation, moksha, no samsara, no diseases. Well, everything is available. Bhagavan says that is not possible. Why? Bhagavan says, other than the non-human beings, they are all programmed animals. Whereas the human being is concerned, I have given a free will to you. Free will means what? You have to choose what you want. I have dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So if you want artha, I'll give you. If you want kama, I will give you desires. If you want to earn money in a proper manner, not in correct manner, I will give you. But Bhagavan says, nobody is asking for liberation, moksha. So that dharma, artha, kama, three, but the moksha nobody wants. So Bhagavan says, I am willing to give, but nobody wants it. That is one category. Second category is, Bhagavan says, okay, even if you don't want, I will give. But this man says, the devotee says, no, I have so many other responsibilities, family chores, and all those things. So I have no time. Let me retire. At the age of 80 or 85, when he retires, he has absolutely no mental strength to follow anything. He has finished completely. And at that time, how can he take moksha and get liberation? That is also not possible. So don't blame me. So the bhaktas are different types. But the Uttama Bhakta is what is shown in sloka number 22. Ananyas Chintayat Swama. That means every now and then only approach me. Again here, one more thing Bhagavan says is, here in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is an infinite God. He has got unlimited capacity. Satchit Ananda. He is Satchit Ananda Swarupa. But then what he does is, he cannot attend to all the devotees, because all the devotees want only petty things. So he created Devatas. So we have got innumerable number of Devatas. Like, we have Surya Bhagavan, Chandra Bhagavan, Shanishwara Bhagavan, Navagraha idols, Saraswati. The next week we are having this Navratri. So Lakshmi Puja, Durga Puja, Saraswati Puja. But all these devatas have only limited powers. They can only give you what you want. Suppose you go and approach Saraswati, she will give you knowledge. If you go to Lakshmi, she will give you wealth. That's all. Like, if you go to a dentist, before going to the dentist, you have to find out which type of dentist I should go. Whether it is only for some toothache problem, then you go to a normal doctor. But if you want to do some root canal, then you go to another doctor. Then if you want implantation, you go to another doctor. So like that, Bhagavan says, I also have different devatas. Devatas are like us. They are also human beings, but they got higher power than us. Human beings have limited power. Devatas have got higher power. So we are governed by Devatas, and Devatas are governed by Ishvara, Krishna. So that means the Devatas are not getting the power directly from Ishvara. but Ishvara gives the power to the Devata for that particular work. So that means what we are doing is, what is our devotion is, I go to the temple, I stand in front of Vinayaka, and then we pray. We are not talking about Sakama Bhakta, we are talking about Nishkama Bhakta. And when we want to go, because Nishkama Bhakta means what? I have no material requirements, but I am not asking for moksha also, because I am not ready for moksha. But whatever you have, that Devata has, you give it to me. So if you go to Lakshmi Devi, you will ask for the money from Lakshmi Devi, and she will give you. That's all. So now the time is over. So we will continue in the next week. Because of Navaratri, the class is not there. The following week, even though I am not in Coimbatore, I will be taking the class from Bombay. So that will be the Thursday, that following Thursday. So wish you all a very happy Navaratri, Dasara, and we will pray to Goddess Durga, Goddess Lakshmi, Goddess Saraswati to shower their blessings on all of us. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.